Once upon a time, long, long ago, there was a king, a very brave and virtuous king. He was very handsome and very famous. His name was Nala, and the name of his kingdom was Nishad. And his story is being narrated to us by the 17th century poet Raghunath Pandit. The name of his book is Damayanti Swayamvar, the topic of today's talk. Welcome to the 8th episode of Grantha Yatra. The book we are discussing today is a milestone at the first turning taken by Marathi literature. All the literature that had appeared before this book was mainly spiritual in nature. Even when it was full of emotional outpourings, those were the emotions experienced by seekers on the spiritual path. But Raghunath Pandit's composition is the first poetic creation in Marathi written mainly for the love of artistic creation and to entertain the readers. It is also the first and one of the most delightful love stories in Marathi. Not much is known about the poet Raghunath Pandit, except for the fact that he was a contemporary of Samartha Ramdas, as is evident from references found in his other work called Ramdas Varnan. According to some researchers, he was one of the Pandits at the court of King Shivaji. The story of King Nala and Damayanti first appears in the Vanaparva of Mahabharata. Sage Brihadashva narrates this tale to Yudhishthir, which means it must have been older than the epic of Mahabharata. Later, in the 12th century, the well-known Sanskrit poet Sri Harsha wrote his epic poem Naishadhiya Kavya based on this tale. It is one of the 5 great epic poems in Sanskrit. Raghunath Pandit had this epic in his mind when he composed Damayanti Swayamvar. Yet, this is Raghunath Pandit's entirely original and imaginative composition. It creates its own world based on the contemporary culture. The text begins with a description of King Nala. Let's see how the poet describes him as the greatest among the kings and an embodiment of all virtue. पुण्यश्लोक नृपावलीत पहिला होवोनी जो राहिला तो राजा असता समस्त महिला विश्रांती शेषाहिला व्यासोक्ते अवगाहिला बुधगणी नाना गुणी गायिला जो नामे नळ तत्कथौग लिहिला जो पाहिजे पाहिला. He was the first among the kings. During his reign there was no sin. Even sage Vyas, the greatest of the poets, could not resist the temptation to write about him. Several learned persons wrote about his many virtues. The poet wonders what he should compare the king with. For if he were to say that King Nala was as handsome as the full moon, even the moon has blots on its face. If he were to compare his pure heart to that of the pure water of river Ganga, even its flow ebbs and wanes. If he were to call him as bright as a pearl, even the pearl can be ground to a powder. So the poet concludes that King Nala's personality is so appealing that it cannot be compared to anything else. He was loved by his subjects and was famous for helping the deserving persons. He had great knowledge of life sciences and he possessed the regal looks. He was so heroic on the battlefield that कदा नेणो वोढी शरदितुनि काढी शर कदा कदा धन्वी जोडी वरी वरी ही सोडी तरी कदा. Before anyone could realize, he would pull out his bow, take out the arrow from quiver and shoot it. His dexterity with the bow and arrow would become apparent from the holes caused by his arrows on the torsos of his enemies. One day, some Brahmins from King Nala's kingdom reached the country of Vidarbha during their travels. When they went to pay their respects to the king Bhim of Vidarbha, he greeted them and asked where they were coming from and about the welfare of their home state. In response, the Brahmins praised their king Nala thus: जो धैर्य धरसा सहस्त्र करसा तेजे तमा दूरसा जो रत्ना करसा गभीर शिरसा भूपा यशे हारसा ज्ञाता तो सरसा वलाच सरसा माझारी शृंगारसा शोभे ताम रसाक्ष तो नळ रसानाथस्तवू फारसा. One who is as courageous as the earth, one who is as bright as the sun that destroys darkness with its thousands of rays, one who is as deep as the ocean, the greatest among the kings, one who's learned and whose personality is as brilliant as gold. Such person is our king. The king's daughter, who was sitting nearby, heard this praise. This princess of the Vidarbha kingdom, named Damayanti, was very sweet natured, and when she heard the fame of King Nala, her curiosity was aroused. नलराज कथा सुधाची साजे, दमयंती वरवर्णिनी विराजे, मिळणी उभयासी होय जेथे, अधिकारी अधिकानुराग तेथे. The tale of King Nala is full of sweetness. In addition, Damayanti is a beautiful woman. When the twain meet, love would blossom naturally. As defined by Sanskrit poetics, the poet here achieves Shlesh Alankar, where the same verses can have dual meaning. So the above lines can also be interpreted as, when turmeric and lime are mixed together, we get vermilion, the indicator of auspicious beginnings in Indian culture. Well, the inevitable happens and Princess Damayanti falls in love with King Nala. Now the spies of the Nishad kingdom narrate the whole incident to King Nala, including how the Vidarbha princess appeared extremely interested in listening to the stories about him. They also describe her beauty and sweet nature. And so Damayanti acquires a place in the king's heart and he begins to pine for her. He gets so obsessed by her thoughts that he cannot even tolerate bouquets of flowers or the chirping of the birds. मानी मनोज शर हार तुरे फुलांचे, कंदर्प कोप वचन ध्वनी कोकिलांचे. राकाशशी मदन दर्पण भाविला आहे, नेघे चितो न परिसे न तयासी पाहे. Even the full moon appears like a mirror of Cupid, and so the king begins to avoid all these things. Not being able to calm his mind with anything, King Nala sets out towards the forest. He comes upon a serene meadow and asking his accompanying guards to wait outside, he enters the garden for some rest. Raghunath Pandit's power of picturesque description is at its height in the passages that follow. He describes trees laden with fruits such as jackfruit, black plums, figs, oranges, and pomegranates. The meadow is fragrant with kunda flowers and sandalwood trees. Parrots and other birds live in that garden. Small and large streams run at the base of the trees, and honey from the flowers is dripping and mixing with their waters. Bees are humming on the flowers. This garden has a lake full of sweet water. It looks beautiful with the 1,000-petal lotuses blooming and a flock of golden swans swimming on its waters. These are no ordinary swans, for their bodies shine like a golden lightning. Their beaks and feet are red like jewels. The poet goes on to describe a sleeping swan in such a vivid manner that we can almost visualize it. तेथील एक कलहंस तटी निजेला, जो भागला जलविहार विशेष केला. पोटीचे एक पद लांबविला दुजातो, पक्षी तनु लपवी भूपतया पाहातो. A tired swan is sleeping on the banks of the lake. When the king spots it, he steps out of his shoes, rolls his leggings and folds his robes. He steps gently in the water. He pushes his armlet up his arm so as not to make any noise, extends his arm and catches hold of the swan by its legs. Waking up, the swan struggles to escape. He flaps his wings and pecks at the king's wrist. But the king's grasp is firm and he doesn't let the swan go. The other swans are scared and fly away. सजण गवसला जो याच पासी वसेतो, कठीण समये येता कोण कामास येतो. Who rushes to help someone in distress? No one. In the course of this description, Raghunath Pandit also comments about this timeless maxim. Let us hear from Professor Nishikant Miratskar about the artistic excellence of the first love story in Marathi.
दमयंती स्वयंवरातली काही स्थळं ही मूळ संस्कृत नैषधीय चरितापेक्षाही सरस आहेत. उदाहरणार्थ औषध नलगे मजला हा श्लेष पहा. न लगे आणि नलगे असा हा श्लेष आहे. आता ही गंमत मूळ संस्कृत नैषधीय चरितामध्ये येणं शक्यच नाही. नळराजाचं वर्णन करताना त्याला फुलांचे हार तोरे हे मदनाच्या बाणाप्रमाणे वाटू लागले. कोकिळांचा स्वर त्याला रागावलेल्या मदनाच्या बोलण्याप्रमाणे भासू लागला. पौर्णिमेचा चंद्र पाहिल्यानंतर त्याला मदनाचा आरसा आठवू लागला. अशा तऱ्हेनं या भावना उत्कट करणारे सगळे विभाव या या वर्णनामध्ये फार सुंदर रीतीनं प्रकट झालेले आहेत आणि त्यातून मूळ रसाला अधिक उठाव मिळालेला आहे. या युद्धमग्न नळराजाचं वर्णन करताना कदा नेणो ओढी शरदितुनी काढी शरकदा कदा धनवी जोडी वरी वरी ही सोडी तरी करा विपक्षाच्या वक्षावरी विवरल शास्तवर्णी कळे राजेंद्राची त्वरित शरसंधान करणे असं वर्णन ते करतात. आणि यातून नळराजाच्या युद्धमग्नतेच्या सगळ्या हालचाली अत्यंत चित्रमयतेनं ते वर्णन करतात. या स्वभावोक्ती अलंकाराचं मराठीतलं हे सर्वोत्कृष्ट उदाहरण त्यामुळे ठरतं. नळराजाच्या वर्णनामध्ये अशा तऱ्हेनं प्रत्यक्ष दृश्यमयता ही आलेली आहे. त्याचप्रमाणे तळ्याकाठी झोपलेल्या हंसाचं वर्णन, नळराजा शिकारीला जातो तेव्हा त्यातल्या वनश्रीचं वर्णन, ही सगळी वर्णनं अत्यंत मनोहर आहेत आणि त्यातून या सगळ्या वर्णनातून प्रगट झालेला वर्णनाची शैली ही अत्यंत सुंदर अशी आहे. नळराजा, कारंजे, फणी, वडिलांसी धाके असे शब्द रघुनाथ पंडित या काव्यात वापरतात आणि त्यातून भाषेची शुद्धता कायम राखण्याचा प्रयत्न करतात. मराठी भाषा ही अत्यंत शुद्ध स्वरूपात या काव्यामध्ये प्रगट झालेली आहे. अर्थात या संस्कृतच्या अतिरेकामुळं या काव्यामध्ये काहीशी दुर्बोधता आलेली आहे, पण त्याला काही हरकत नाही. ते तिकडे लक्ष देण्याचं कारण नाही. अतिशयोक्ती हा रघुनाथ पंडिताचा अत्यंत लाडका अलंकार आहे आणि या काव्यामध्ये त्या अतिशयोक्तीचं वर्णन भरपूर प्रमाणात त्यांनी केलेलं आहे आणि फार सुंदर त्यामुळे या काव्याचं सौंदर्य खूप वाढलेलं आहे असं आपल्याला दिसतं. काही असो, थोडीशी दुर्बोधता जरी असली तरी एकंदरीत हे काव्य मराठीतलं सर्वोत्कृष्ट आख्यान काव्य आहे, यात काही संशय नाही.
When the swan realizes that the king is not willing to set him free, he begins to speak to him in human voice. When there are numerous fighters all around, instead of taking them on, why do you intend to kill a bird like me? Are you tempted to make ornaments out of my golden body? But the real ornament for a person like you is actually generosity and compassion. Instead of following those virtues, why are you motivated otherwise today? He says. The king takes pity on him and he sets the swan free with the words, "There, I set you free, fly away wherever you wish to go." The moment he is free from the king's grasp, the swan flies away and perches on the branch of a tree, but soon he returns to the king and begins to sing his praise. In return for the king's generosity, he offers to be his messenger to Princess Damayanti. He wings his way to Kundinpur, the capital of the Vidarbha kingdom. Poet Raghunath Pandit offers a captivating description of the town with its palace adorned with high minarets, arches, breezy windows, and the multi-storied homes of the wealthy people. The swan spots Damayanti strolling in a garden accompanied by her friends. He cleverly draws her attention to himself and deftly weans her away. हंसे तदा चतुर सम्मत युक्ती केली, ते चालवी तसु तनु बहुदूर नेली. After checking that there is no one around, the swan begins to speak to Damayanti in human tongue. I am a bird who can fly in the sky, and you are a person who walks on earth. Do you think you can catch me? He teases her. Damayanti is very surprised and asks him, कोण तू गा कोठील कवणियाचा, कसा झाला तव देह सोनियाचा, कशी आली तुझही मनुज वाचा, काय भाग्योदय सांगू या वनाचा. Who are you and where did you come from? How did your body turn golden? How do you speak the human language? Indeed, these woods seem to be blessed. The swan then tells her that he is a messenger of King Nala, and he describes the king's personality to her. Damayanti is delighted and asks him for more information about the king. She eventually confesses her love to King Nala. After ascertaining that Damayanti is as bewitched with King Nala as he is attracted to her, the swan returns to the king. From the time that King Nala captures the swan in the forest to the time he conveys Damayanti's resolve to the king, the poet skillfully characterizes the swan with great dedication. In fact, the characterization of the swan is more effective than even the two protagonists of the tale. After learning that King Nala had sent the swan to know her feelings towards him, Damayanti is even more enamored by the king, and unable to bear the longing for him, she faints. And what happens then? गजबज बहु झाली माय धावोनी आली धरुनी हृदय देशी तिजला सेज केली करीती विझणवारे त्या सख्या वेगळाल्या वडील वडील दाया जाणत्याही मिळाल्या. There's a commotion, and her mother, the queen, rushes to her side. She holds her daughter's head to her heart and makes her lie down. Her friends begin to fan her, and experienced attendant women are summoned. ते शीतलोपचारी जागी झाली हळूच मग बोले औषध न लगे मजला परिसुनी जननी बरे म्हणूनी डोले. After receiving all this attention, Damayanti recovers and murmurs to her mother that she needs nil medicine. The poet again achieves the dual meaning here, for the couplet can also be read as Nala is the medicine for me. The queen understands the dual meaning and takes the necessary steps. She informs the king that their daughter was now ready for marriage and a suitable groom should be found for her. Accordingly, the king of Vidarbha arranges a Swayamvar for Princess Damayanti, the traditional ceremony where several kings and princes are invited to the court so that the princess can choose one of them as her husband. King Nala too receives the invitation to the Swayamvar and he begins the preparations for attending the ceremony. Now that you know that both the king and the princess are in love with each other and the princess has the opportunity to choose her husband at the Swayamvar, you would think that there is no hindrance in their getting married. But it is the law of the nature that greater the protagonist's, stranger are the adversities they face. At the Swayamvar, the gods in the heaven themselves appear as King Nala's adversaries. Knowing that Princess Damayanti has decided to choose Nala as her husband, the gods force King Nala to approach her as their messenger and persuade her to wed one of them. The resulting dramatic scene, which also showcases Damayanti's intelligence, makes a very interesting read. To enjoy the climax at the Swayamvar and to know who finally wins Damayanti's hand, do read the original text of Raghunath Pandit's Damayanti Swayamvar. Send us your views on this book by posting your comments on ASMT's YouTube channel and Facebook page. And please like, share and subscribe to our channel. We shall be back to see you next week with a new book. Until then, keep reading.